Today on the net, Russian opposition blogger accused of paedophilia. The web reacts. The story of Buck, an abused dog, touches net users. And the White House explains why it will not build a Death Star. Rustem Agamov, one of Russia's most influential opposition bloggers, is currently being investigated for paedophilia. Legal proceedings opened on Friday after his ex-wife Tatiana Delsal accused him on his blog and in a video posted on YouTube of abusing a young girl when he lived in Norway 15 years ago. After returning to live in Russia, the photographer gradually established himself as an anti-Putin opposition figure, regularly documenting anti-government protests in Moscow. Upon the opening of the investigation against him, Agamov reacted on Twitter by implying this could be a setup. However, he refused to criticize his former partner, with whom he lived for 20 years. A guilty silence in the eyes of his political adversaries, and particularly for pro-government bloggers who are monopolizing his ex-wife's accusations. On the other hand, opposition supporters are convinced this affair is a setup, orchestrated by the Kremlin in an attempt to neutralize him. A case which comes about just as another opposition leader, blogger Alexei Navalny, is also being investigated in the framework of several criminal investigations, including misappropriation of funds and money laundering, accusations the activist denies after making fighting corruption his central priority. The life of Buck, a 3-year-old dog, could have ended last week alongside his road in Texas if he hadn't crossed paths with Tammy Augustine. As the animal lover explains in this video diffused online, the dog had been left for dead here, fastened in a bin bag after being shot in the head with a pellet gun. Alerted by a neighbor who discovered the dying animal, Augustine rushed him to a vet who was able to save his life. The story of Buck, nicknamed the dog who wouldn't die in the media, touched many Americans who were outraged by this case of cruelty. A Facebook page was launched to raise funds and pay for the animal's health care. And while donations continue to flood in, the generosity of some net users has already enabled fundraisers to gather almost $40,000, more than enough to cover the vet's fees, according to Augustine, who helps to use the leftover money to set up a charity to help mistreated dogs. As for Buck, his injuries are healing. He recently underwent surgery to remove the pellets left in his eyes, and even though he may never see again, he has already started to love life once more, as shown in this video, in which we see him out shopping with his new owner. As for his tormentors, they are currently being sought by police.
Don't be calling.
The White House will not build a Death Star like in the Star Wars series, as it estimated cost is much too high, and also because the US government does not envisage blowing up other planets. These are just two of the very amusing arguments put forward by the Obama administration as an official answer to a civic petition recently launched on the presidency site and signed by over 34,000 net users to urge authorities to build a real Death Star. A wacky answer which is circulated online, with many users applauding the White House's humor. Will it be the car, the boot, or the hat? Among the 6 historic Monopoly pieces, one will soon disappear, to be replaced by a new, more modern piece. And to decide which will be chosen definitively, fans of the famous board game are called to vote up until February the 6th for their favourite piece. The counter obtaining the least number of votes will sink into oblivion. And for now, it appears that the iron and the wheelbarrow are the least popular.
This prank,
making a fake car seat behind which to hide to trick fast food restaurant employees into thinking the vehicle is being driven by a ghost, a highly amusing initiative dreamt up by Rahat, a US net user specializing in schoolboy jokes diffused on YouTube, and which seems to have worked particularly well, as illustrated by this video, currently visible online.